Famed, of course, for my unique red skin and unparalleled skills as a general of the House of War, I, the Red Prince, was raised within the vast palaces of the fabled Forbidden City. I was destined to become the next emperor. But my ambitions suffered a bit of a setback when I fell from grace for cavorting with demons. Now, I'm exiled and hunted by assassins. But I assure you, I remain undaunted and as determined as ever to claim my rightful throne.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So, still a bit groggy, are we? Don't worry, the sedative will wear off soon enough. Easy now, no need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
What a way to wake. Wooden boards and iron shackles. The Divine Order's hospitality leaves much to be desired indeed. A subpar cranium, that? Human, no wonder. Well, that explains the smell.
Did you expect a needle? Shaking her fluffy coat, the sheep eyes you balefully, her rectangular eyes like letterboxes to the void.
Fresh meat. Nice. Plump. Banded like a chicken's leg, too. That may be so, but look at the fly.
With 2 shakes of her stumpy tail, the sheep turns away from you to peruse her hay-filled manger. Did you expect a needle?
You, 'Come here. You there. Come 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 here.
Get me out of this cage and I'll make it worth your while. You in? Your guess is as good as mine. Someone screamed loud as a banshee. After that, pure pandemonium. They never even told me what I was accused of. Just dragged me down here. Set me free, and I'll set you free. A fair trade, I should think. Suit yourself. But we're all in the same boat here, so to speak.
The Magister guard snorts and sniffles as he sleeps. You're almost impressed that one man can make such a phlegmy racket. Before you can even touch the lever, you hear a sniff and snort behind you as the snoring Magister mumbles himself awake. One bloodshot eye opens, and then another.
Is my shift over? Are you here to relieve me? Wait, you're no Magister. You're a Sorcerer. What are you doing here, filthy red scale? Choose your words carefully. My fists ache to meet a new face.
The Magister considers you, shrugs, and curls his hands into fists.
You're honest, I'll give you that. Doesn't mean I'll be letting you go scot-free, though. Ha! I should have known there'd be trouble.
So much for a peaceful stroll.
Rubbish.
Empty.
what a mess I've made. Someone will be along to clean up, I'm sure. And I'm back where I started. Nowhere to go but up.
Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already? What a well of knowledge this tome is. Dallas is such a dear lending it to me.
Empty.
Why, you're looking a bit more chipper. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. All will, but no result. There you have it. See? The collar's function. It neuters you of sorts. Makes you unable to cast source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's. Why? Because we're at sea, of course, and have been for several days.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good.
She frowns and peers at you closely, resting the back of one hand on your forehead and taking your pulse with the other.
Delusions such as these are rare, but not unheard of. I recommend a cup of mulled wine and another night's sleep. Just take it easy. You've been collared, and you've been told why. There really is no need for you to linger.
Good gods! There's been a murder here! The hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic.
A young Magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass. Behind the Magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. It's a small ship. His name was Finn, oddball. Looked to me like he saw something he wished he hadn't before he came here. We'll find out who did it, one way or another.
Everything's spick and span. Nothing left to do, really.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwoken followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Finn was killed by Source. If a Magister could do that, there wouldn't be a Magister. It looks more like a passenger managed to slip their collar. And the rest, well, you see the evidence in front of you. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Thanks. I just want to catch whoever did this before they hurt anyone else. Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
My, these smelling salts are strong stuff.
Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
That's enough now.
I'm not suited for this. It's sea cow, not sea sheep. Haven't got any shears, have you? People these days.
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I assure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Mad? Insufferable, surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in your tongue trying to concentrate?
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
You think me mad?
Mad? Insufferable, surely.
Snake eyes.
I'll tell you.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like. Rolling dice. Deciding fates.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no, but I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
I'm trying to concentrate.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers. As everyone lay sleeping, your hunger gnawed and gnawed at you until you could stand it no longer. Finding the cellar door ajar, instead of trying to escape, you snuck into the pantry like a common thief, only to find nothing but rather questionable turnips. There you stood, as a Magister walked in, still hungry, feeling a mighty fool.
Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
She pats you on the shoulder consolingly.
There, no need to be a sourpuss. You don't have to worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us
Locked.
They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just...
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this trampy-fan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself. Easy now. I might think the same, but Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You, Lizard, what's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
Away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
Mad?
I'm busy watching for clues, Sorcerer. Go take your sub-story somewhere else.
Ifan raises his eyebrows, but shakes his head at your attempts to communicate, glancing sideways at the angry face of Magister Victor.
Shoot to kill. You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is the matter? It was one of them. I know it. Suspect you know all
Could you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
Well, perhaps you're... They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle.
Boring.
Carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
And we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable?
Rubbish.
Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right? I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divide, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
Soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with him.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that?
He turns his head toward you, looking you up and down, and smiles before turning his attention to the ship.
You look like a boy to me. Listen if you're interested, or get gone if you aren't.
His eyes snap open. He looks at you and frowns.
Murder? Ah, that's what they were going on and on about. I wouldn't know anything about it. I kill a man. He knows who done it. His daddy knows who done it. And the mayor knows who done it too.
His eyes flutter shut, and he assumes his position of repose once more.
Whether they catch me is another matter, but I ain't one to hide my accomplishments. The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And? Afraid. There's a killer about, after all. Sick as a leper's cat. From the state of it, I'd say she's being cared for by a bunch of beardless babes who never loved anyone but their own mums. But there's more. Listen close. There now, just like that.
Squeak!
Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we'd been traveling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
There's a killer about, after all.
Till overboiling a bit of cabbage becomes a crime, I shall hold my
No indeed, boy. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
I always knew you'd turn up, Roxon Ben Mest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
The Magisters are out for blood. You saw the body, didn't you? Big bruiser like you ought to be able to take them on.
As the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
My prince!
The cook bows slightly and wipes her hands on her gruel-stained garb.
Forgive me, your highness. I didn't expect... well, anyway, whether I had more than cornmeal and rotting roots to serve, I'd concoct something more fitting for one of your stature.
I always knew you'd turn up, Roxon Ben Mest.
She nods and smiles wanly before returning to her duties.
Wolves around a campfire.
Well, got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far?
He tugs the collar of his uniform and chuckles.
Sorry you're upset, sir, but we all wear what we wear for a reason. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
We'll hang you right over the side of this ship.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up. He reaches out, flicks a finger against one of your scales, and rubs his chin.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
7 years? What an infinitesimal period! Why would anyone... Oh dear. I seem to have crossed some cultural taboo. How... difficult. You have my apologies, Lizard. Perhaps I should demand the same from those red-cloaked humans. They laid their hands on me more than once. I do not believe I've been drawn anywhere. It is a quaint little read, but it has its faults. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Most unusual. And if it's not too rude to suggest, not much of an answer. No, I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your god. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind? Of course you don't have any useful information. Why did I expect anything else? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book or respond to your questions.
carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with you.
It was one of them.
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly, deathly allergical.
The young woman seems about to raise her hand, but quickly remembers herself and nods pointedly at the excited children.
Who indeed? Why, my name is, Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb.
The children break out into giggles.
I say, it is.
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You'd presume right. Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
You're really red. I bet that's why the Magisters took you. They took me because... Wow! You're a dragon. You look like a dragon. But where are your wings? Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la.
You! Sorcerer! Blood? No! Go! Oof.
Name? Well, you aren't here on my list. Scram, eh? We're trying to catch a killer here.
I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can
Keep those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is the matter?
Murder most foul.
Rubbish.
Stories suspect you know all about it.
Do you? Well, perhaps you're absolutely right.
put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're entitled to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
If we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What do you think anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen. Keep those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is the matter?
Murder most foul, and I strongly suspect you know all about it.
Do you? Well, perhaps
One of them. I know that.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, Sourcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
Not long before...
The hound paws desperately at its snout. It winces as it draws blood from its wet black nose and continues scratching. The dog notices you for the first time and snarls, the hairs on its back prickling as it lowers itself into a lunge.
You sorcerer!
It sneezes suddenly and paws at its nose once more.
Can't smell. Can't breathe. Too much sauce. Too much. Too much.
Please, make it stop.
Too much. Too much. Can't smell. Can't breathe.
The dog whines and continues pawing at its nose.
Doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards!
You pass through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, much...
No! What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid. No wonder they're so bloody ignorant.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the first time.
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to page.
Yes, indeed. It's the look of someone that wants to read the bloody book he's holding. Now, if you're really quite finished, I believe you have lifeboats to flee to. Please, I was no more an elf than you are those rags you're wearing. I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed, which allowed me to take that primitive form. A mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little scene. Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands. Indeed. Just as sensible as getting off a sinking ship and leaving a fellow to his business. I would say good day, but it seems quite likely that you're about to die a rather terrible death, so...
The skeleton shrugs casually and returns to his book.
What in blazes? Something's pounding on the hull.
The marking on the door was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You recognize the symbol immediately for what it is. A warning of death fog within. You press your palm against the door to open it. The wood feels neither cold nor warm, but simply grey. The crimson drains from your hand, and you are left numb.
God damn it! Need to get off this wreck and quick!
The moment you touch the door, it doesn't budge. The door groans open, but an ashen shadow clouds your mind.
Death fog? I need to get out of here, now!
dwarfs first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to no avail.
You said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here. Hear that, kid? We need to go.
But what about the ladder? It's right over there. We can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear?
Wait, where are the rest? You're going to get them, right?
If you can walk, get yourself up to the... Wait! Voidwoken! Spearless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch.
I thought Voidwoken was supposed to be scary. Let the games begin.
I've faced worse.
Magister Siwan, the one who put on this damn collar. Sounds like she needs help.
She tries to speak, but can only gape as she clutches her neck, trying to stem the bleeding of a gushing wound. With jagged movements, she raises her clenched fist and holds out a length of cloth, soaked with some kind of strong-smelling tincture. Blood quickly soaks through the cloth. Magister Siwan's mouth opens and closes, her eyes wide in terror. It's working. The pressure is stemming the flow of blood. Siwan clutches your arm, her eyes locked with yours. Something within the ship snaps. The floorboards shudder. Siwan struggles to her feet, clinging to you tightly. The ship lets out a deep groan, then cracks.
It's ripping the ship apart!
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing Sourcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Orivan.
Well, that was a bit of a rough and tumble journey. I suppose I'm the lone survivor. Which is entirely appropriate, if you ask me.